Today I wanted to share my favorite cookie recipe with you. This is a recipe for Snicker-doodle cookies, and when making cookies, one of the biggest issues I have found for people who have dairy allergies or eating restrictions is the butter. Most cookie recipes call for butter, and making cookies without butter, they often end up flat or super fluffy, or just a whole bunch of weird things happen to them and flavor doesn't really stay the same. And so today I wanted to show you the tricks that I have found to best and very easily substitute butter when making cookies. So let's begin. First, we start off with a half cup of sugar, and into it add a third cup of brown sugar and a third cup of oil. Now this recipe calls for a half cup of butter, but when substituting oil into a cookie recipe, all you have to do is replace the half cup of butter with a third cup of oil. Depending on your altitude, you may need a little bit more or a little bit less, but generally around a third cup will get you the texture that you need for your cookies. After adding the oil, you want to mix it together just a little bit like you normally cook normal cookies, with the butter and with the oil together. And then you'll add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 egg. Okay, the next step to the recipe is pretty easy. It's just the dry ingredients. So in here I have 1.5 cups of flour, and then to that I'll add a half teaspoon of baking soda, as well as a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then lastly a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Pretty simple, but I found that adding the cinnamon to the batter actually helps enhance the flavor of the Snicker-doodle cookie. Okay, so now you'll want to mix the wet and the dry ingredients together. One thing to note about the wet ingredients once mixed together is with normal cookie batter, when you use butter, the wet ingredients will end up very, very fluffy. Whereas when we use oil, as I've done here, it's going to be a lot wetter and a lot less fluffy right now. But once mixed together with the wet, dry ingredients to make the cookie dough, you won't see much of a difference. Alright, once you've mixed all of your wet and dry ingredients together and found the right texture, being up here in a very dry climate, I had to add a little bit extra oil, not much, maybe like a teaspoon. You'll roll them into balls, probably about a tablespoon in size, and mix it into a cinnamon sugar concoction. This cinnamon sugar mixture is made of a 1/4 cup of sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Once that's done, you'll put them into the oven at 350 degrees and bake them for 8 minutes. And there you have it. This is my favorite recipe for Snickerdoodles, and I hope you're able to enjoy them as well.